Everyone, and welcome back to this week's video. And this week's video, we're going to be talking about the next step for us to understand the qualities of to enter the God's kingdom, how to act as a person who is worthy of being entering to the God's kingdom. Because over time, from the start of our videos, we've been looking about the God's kingdom, how to enter the God's kingdom, the characteristics of God's kingdom, understanding how the God's kingdom comes as a concept from the Bible. And today's week's video, we're going to carry on by understanding how we can enter the God's kingdom through our own understandings, because we're going to see another major prophet, another character mentioned in the Old Testament from this week onwards. So this prophet is Isaiah the prophet. He's a major prophet in the Old Testament. So today let's understand about Isaiah's background information before, from next week onwards, going on to full detail about him as a character and how his qualities can be understood. So Isaiah was the son of Amos. The name Isaiah means Yahweh is salvation, and we understand from this that Isaiah's name here has a very important name. For example, many characters or people in the Bible have names such as this, like Abraham did, as an example, because Isaiah's name means Yahweh is salvation. As an example, Abraham had a similar situation where his name also means something. But there are also at least 7 men named in the Bible whose name is Isaiah, but only one Isaiah is the son of Amos. We have to understand. So that's an important thing, because Isaiah, the son of Amos, is what the major prophet we're going to be looking at. So Isaiah was married to a prophetess who bore him as a shear in Jahub. We can understand 2 sons. We have to understand, and he prophesied under the reign of the 4 Judean kings. At this point, we understand about the 2 sons. So we have to understand that the book of Isaiah itself contains wonderful things God inspired him to write. We can understand the prophet Isaiah warned the people of Israel that God would punish them for their wrongdoings. Isaiah also recorded many wonderful promises of God, which describe the good things he plans to do for the people of the whole world. So we understand Isaiah was seen as a very much faithful person when we understand his background so far. As we understand he has stayed in the faith towards God, as he's the one who has been prophesying or warning the Israelites in the time of their disobedience period. And we understand he recorded many wonderful promises that God had made, and to help himself and others understand. We also understand the book of Isaiah provides us with the most comprehensive poetic pictures of Jesus Christ in the entire Old Testament, because it includes the full scope of his life, the announcement of his coming, his virgin birth, his proclamation of the good news, his sacrificial death, and his return. So here itself, Isaiah, we can understand, is seen as an important and vital character towards God's plan. As one of God's tools, he is the first, or one of the first, we could say, as the most in the whole entire Old Testament, who has the most comprehensive prophetic picture of Jesus Christ in his description of how Jesus Christ will live in this world and how his actions will dictate or show towards how much God loves the people and the prophecy that God has made place for Jesus Christ. So we have to understand one last thing, that before we end this week's video, is that Isaiah, you have to understand, book is like a miniature book of the Bible itself, because the first 39 chapters is like the 39 books of the Old Testament, and are filled with the judgment upon immoral and idolatrous men. The final 27 chapters are like the new 27 books of the New Testament, which declare a message of hope. So from next week's video onwards, we'll be carrying on to understand more about Isaiah's book and about Isaiah the prophet in much more detail, and understand more about this book in more clarity, understanding how it relates to the topic of God's kingdom. Because now we've understood about how Isaiah as a character is very important, because we understand he was the most comprehensive person who gave a prophetic picture of how Jesus was. He pretty much, we could say, prophesied what Jesus Christ was going to do, and he made the announcements of how Jesus Christ was going to do and what he was going to do in his life to help the world come across the sin, or come away and be saved from the sin and death. We've understood a bit about how Isaiah's life could have been ran, as we understood as well about how God inspired him to write, and he had wrote wonderful things, and he had tried to warn many of the Israelites at the period of time, staying faithful in God at these times as well, by saying that God would punish them for their wrongdoings. So we're going to understand more about this in next week's video. So see you then. Bye.